Greetings, I am Lies and I use she, her.
And I am Scandal and I use they, them.
And let's play a game together.
Alright,
Okay.
we're into beetle battles.
I was going to say it's a big beetle battle.
It's a beetle battle because we realize also if you mispronounce or overemphasize beetles, sounds like you're trying to say beetles, which is why I'm like, yes! That's where they got the Beatles from.
Because of battles.
Yes, silence, Volta! They're going to read my fortune. Tell me, have I any battles in the near future?
Well, yes, it's called a conversation you're about to have.
Aha! Who should I read for? Read
Oh.
for Volta or read for Volgora?
Is this important? Dear God, this is going to decide the fate of our whole world, depending on who you read for. You only get to do one of them.
That's goofy! We
Why
complained about this last time, though!
I was like, hold on, why the hell wouldn't you read for both of them?
It's fine.
It should say read for Volta first, or read for Volgora first, unless something's going to happen where it's then, I can only read the cards once. My delicate magical constitution says no.
Oh no, whatever will I do when I have customers back to back? Gasp, woe is me, I can't read more than one card a day.
/ long rest.
Need a long rest now. That's stupid.
Okay, that feels like it's a...
I'm also like...
Which one's going to help you solve the mystery best? Good player. Do you know? And or it's like, alright, courtesan / MC. What will best please your, employer?
The thing is it doesn't fucking matter.
Doesn't?
No, because they both would matter, or just having one of them. There is no specifically, well, this one will be better.
Well, no, but the thing is the choices are weighted in this game and they lead to different endings.
I know! Well, we complained about this, though, before when we finally kind of fucking figured it out. We were like, oh, choices that you're literally like, both of them are good choices to have. Why the fuck would you split that up?
Alright, so I would not know how to choose this without metagaming.
I don't know either.
Because I have no idea what courtesan would think was more important about one or the other of these disasters.
This is why I'm like, to me,
this is only the second time you've met them.
Yeah, I'm like, also, again, though, there's literally no reason to pick one over the other.
See, and if it were me, having played another route, I'd go with Volta, because Volta doesn't know how to basically hold their tongue well. They're just very, very chatty and excitable, but also confused and distracted, and they only have one priority, food, so if you talk about other things, then they really are just like, if it doesn't take away from the food, or if not answering this makes me, have to stay away from food longer, like, because there was a scene a lot like that in Julian's route.
Yeah, but I still don't know what the outcome was of that choice.
I don't either.
If that makes sense. Like, I'm kind of like, I appreciate that. But I actually, like, you're talking about metagaming, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't metagame that which I don't even have information for.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Well, I was going to say, and metagaming to get to an end, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Metagaming to potentially get more information, I just imagine...
That's all I'm looking for, is just more information, yeah. And I'm like, all Volgora tends to care about is just beating shit up. That's not necessarily super helpful. Volta's like... I ramble off about things or whatever else it seems like.
Volgora seems to have more control of themselves.
Yeah.
And Volta just does not, as in the same way. Volta doesn't also seem to have the same level of awareness of, like, social priorities.
Right.
The way Volgora does.
Which I think is really interesting in regards to... I'm just like, it's fine.
Alright, what do you think? What do you think courtesan would possibly choose?
It doesn't matter.
There's no way.
They would do both of them.
Yeah.
Like, this is stupid. You'd do both.
Alright, well...
So, but you'd start with the first one, probably, which would be Volta. So
because she asked... because they asked first.
Yeah.
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 Right.
So, but like, that would be the only way I could do this, but then I would expect that we would come back and we would do Volgora. Like,
I would as well, going, this person asked first, so you're now in a queue.
Yeah, exactly. I will do this one, because you'll be very efficient. I'm going to do it! This one already asked, so this is how this is going to work.
They beat you to it.
You're slow. I'll be doing a reading for Procurator Volta. Volgora scoffs and knocks a plate off the table, but Nadia completely ignores it. So I do too. I followed your cues. There's no reason to react. But also imagine in a lot of cases courtesan going, of course nobles are just crazy. This is how this just works, right?
I'm still again going, why would you only read for one of them?
That is so ridiculous.
That just is super weird. And also going, you have to like basically irritate one over the other, or basically dismiss one over the other, which is weird too.
Yeah.
And I don't get it.
I mean, like
and
I said,
also going,
remember when we did Julian's Run? We really did get super annoyed in a couple of cases where like
we just do both.
We just do both of these. Why wouldn't you ask both of these questions? These both are important to ask, and we've actually done that now with Nadia several times. And it's like the trend continues. These don't make any sense.
And I'm just like, there's an experience here of going. The MC outside of this room says, "I'm going to read their fortunes," and then you only do one.
Yeah.
Unless we come back around magically. How lucky you are, Volta. Do pay attention. Corazone's readings are like no other. How many other readings of other people have you had? How many comparisons do you have there, Nadia?
Oh, I am so nervous. Please.
I spread the cards out on the table.
On my end of the table,
My
where they
fucking
can't
end of the
see because their
table.
face is buried in the food, and it's a long banquet table.
And it literally doesn't really matter. Because we have to pick, and Volta won't. Honestly, I would be super charmed if a hand would show up.
Right?
And I'd go,
Pick.
and like, I wish the game would do that, but you have to pick for them. So I just gotta pick. I imagine it's the same card every single time. So it's a reversed card. Temperance. Reversed. Temperance's warnings. I've fucking forgotten the voice this morning.
It's okay. It's really early, everybody.
It is?
It's quite early.
It's very early. Hello. Okay. Temperance's warnings are urgent and quick. Whispered only to me. I'm
Quiet.
overwhelmed. And quiet, excuse me. I'm overwhelmed by it for a moment. Temperance tells me that Volta is empty and will never fill herself up. The hunger is like a yawning chasm, and she will consume everything in her quest. And yet, still, it will not satisfy her. For how can a beast be satisfied? That's rude. Rude? Have you ever talked to a beast before?
Huh.
Excuse me?
I was gonna say, beasts are just... Okay, so...
Beasts are just animals.
As
Animals
far
get satisfied.
as I understand the term beast, it is a thing that goes on 4 legs.
Yes.
So anything on 4 legs is a beast. And I get the beast monster, but I'm like, no, beasts of the field is just things on 4 legs out there in the grass.
I mean, and I could see that with people going like, the beasts of the woods, which usually ended up being like wolves or
4 legs.
Things on 4 legs.
Yeah.
But like everybody be like, their hunger is insatiable. It's like,
No.
well, 1, there are a lot of them, and 2, no, that's not true.
Now I imagine this is supernatural because we've observed that Volta's appetite is supernatural.
Oh hell yeah!
But at the same time,
At least we, the players, have, because I don't think the character. What
it doesn't seem like anyone else has noticed or thought about it.
I'm just like.
You have
This again, where I'm like, diegetically in the world, are you really just sort of like going, I'm going to let the player have whatever experience they will have, but really, in canon, this is just normal.
This is normal. Nobody notices anything remarkable. Going, Volta's behavior here with this just incredible mountain of food that they've clearly been eating for a good length of time. Sort of,
because you've been late.
Yep, as well as Nadia having exposure to them would suggest that she's aware that they're always on about food and has seen them eat before, I would imagine, in her time there.
Yes, even since she's woken up,
That's what I mean, in her time since waking up, that since they are so food-centric and they work in the palace, from my understanding, she would have seen them eat. And she thinks nothing of it.
Yeah.
And we think nothing of it. And I'm like, this is instantly a real-world person going, oh, that's supernatural hunger. And now you've got Corazon going, what a strange reveal. They seem to have supernatural hunger. But this card, Temperance, which whispers only to me.
Which sort of also makes me giggle, because since you've never countered it before this point, that means that everybody thought it was normal until the card goes, hey.
That might be weird.
Hey, the alethiometer, the alethiometer goes, excuse me?
This is weird.
This is weird! And everyone goes, oh, gasp!
I'm also like, when you say Temperance whispers only to you, do you mean it doesn't talk to Astra?
I guess.
Or do you just mean it whispers only to me in this room in this moment? I'm like, are there times when your cards talk, other ones of your cards that talk to other people? Because I've never heard of your Arcana cards talking to other people in the room, so saying it whispers only to you is weirdly specific.
I mean, yeah, it seems a little silly. Honestly, you'd be
Astra! Temperance, speak to me.
Temperance, no.
No,
I cannot.
I cannot.
I know. I'm overwhelmed with a peculiar feeling. A sense that Volta is not quite human.
Well, I mean, it seems obvious as hell, but again, going, okay, so the way the courtiers look is completely normal in your society and gives no one any indication that anything is off.
Like I said, either your character can see something that no one else can, and they go, oh, this must just be normal, because you literally cannot tell that no one else can see it, so you just assume in that
Because
way that
no one's reacting to it.
right,
And you
nobody's
can't tell they can't see it.
Or everybody else can, and they just go, this is normal. Or there's literally the thing of going, you, the player, are being given a different view than what everybody else in the whole world is actually being given, which is, again, would feed more into the whole player versus, character problem. Or again, this game is way more simplistic in that sense and is trying to make its tropes very, very obvious of going,
These are the bad guys.
Right, because here's your cartoon design versus your realistic design, where you'd be like, why would you ever have, this? Because everybody go, hi, that's really fucking weird.
I still like going with the one that basically your apprentice is young, your MC is young, and that, they're 3 years old.
Right.
And they've had a very educational, magically, and enhanced 3 years.
Right.
But they're 3 years old, and so they've had very little exposure to a lot of things. But also, if their magic just lets them see sort of the nature of people,
right,
everyone looks weird, and they take other people's social cues as to whether or not that's important.
Right.
And then, so yeah, this one going, yes, they don't actually look like that to everyone else, but your apprentice assumes that's perfectly normal based on all the other variations they've seen as well, and how people are reacting.
You're not quite human.
All right, there we are.
So what are you going to tell them?
Corazon, are you all right?
Please, you must tell me, what do the cards say?
You'll never hunger, you'll always hunger. Corazon just tell the truth, honestly.
I was just saying, you'll always hunger. Like,
you'll always hunger.
I hope there's food in my future. It doesn't matter, you'll always hunger.
That is what you are.
Mm-hmm.
You'll
just
always
tell the truth.
It says you're starving, hungry and empty, and nothing can satisfy that hunger. Nadia tenses beside me, but says nothing, deciding to trust my judgment.
Oh, it's true, it is so true. I'm so hungry. Tell me, how can I fix this hunger, oh magician? Please, you must tell me, Volta. Volta's a tiny, weak, little, small, squishy thing. Please help.
Well...
Move out of the way, Volta. It's my turn. Yours is boring.
Oh, do you get to do both?
You do not.
No.
Because every time we're like, we need to do both. You should do both.
It's never happened.
It's never happened.
happened.
Volta and Volgora scuffle over the cards, knocking them off the table.
I am stunned that the apprentice is just not like, I see someone coming for the cards and I immediately collect them.
Whoop!
Watching them get scattered on the floor, I'm just like, whoa.
Destruction. I quickly scramble to collect them as the courtiers continue their fight. Whoa. Food flies over my head. There's a sickening splat, and when I straighten again, there's a small spot of custard in Nadia's hair.
A small spot. A sickening splat, which in its incredible,
This is very cartoonish.
The shrapnel from the splat, which landed somewhere. A tiny little speck landed in her hair.
Also, sickening splat.
Like I said.
On hair?
No, sickening splat somewhere. This is shrapnel from it, because
Oh.
you can't have a tiny little speck being a sickening splat.
Okay, well, I would say, cartoonishly, that's hilarious.
Something splattered nearby.
Because that would be so
and it got on her.
overemphasized, you could just hear Nadia's hair being destroyed, because you're that obsessive about Nadia. Or, in that hilarious way of going, oh, this is the bad. You've done the bad, you hear the splat, because it's the dramatic thing going, oh.
See, and what I'm getting is, people started throwing stuff, except for in this case, I think only probably Volta started throwing the food. But why would they throw the food if the food's the most important thing? I don't even know, that sounds weird. And I don't see Volgara really going for throwing food. I'd just slap a bitch, you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, going for the cards doesn't really make sense for me, because, they can't use the cards. Do me next, and I will dive for the cards. How does that make the person, who has to use the cards be able to do you next? Then they literally don't have the cards anymore. Also, again, we're talking the length of a banquet table. Okay? Not a cute little dinner table.
They're all the way on the other side,
banquet
opposite
table.
sides.
And so, no, I was gonna say, Volgora's been pacing around, so they could be anywhere.
Yeah.
But Volta stayed with the food because no mention of moving away from their primary focus of interest was ever mentioned. So they are down at the far end of this table, and you were kind of just speaking loudly to get their fortune over to
Hello,
from
Volta!
the absolute other end of the head of
Your
the table.
whole life is fucked, Volta.
Oh, no!
Hedda, Volta, you're gonna keep being hungry. As you keep shoving food in your face.
I'm like, I always just really do say, though, honestly, Volta reminds me of a way more cutified Drowned Wednesday. I really cannot recommend that.
I love how you always think of Volta as cute.
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
It's really charming.
As far as I understand also, though, too, like, everybody else does as well in the fandom.
Okay.
Like, Volta's basically the baby.
Baby.
Yeah,
Volta
baby.
is baby, just hungry.
He's hungry.
Just hungry. Anyway, I think it's weird, the diving for the cards in one way, but I assume the splat was a thing got thrown, splattered aggressively somewhere, and part of it splashed onto Nadia.
Yeah, it got into her hair.
Yep, there we go.
She stands, slamming her hands on the table. A tense silence overtakes the dining room immediately. Why? Volgora literally gives no fucks. This makes no sense. For that character? No. That character doesn't care. At all. That character would be like, I'ma still smack a bitch. Volta might care.
I was like, again though,
but only vaguely, because Volta's so hungry. Let's get him like,
neither of them seem to respect her authority at all.
No.
In other establishing scenes, so this is wild. But also, again, I have no idea.
This is why I say this is very cartoonish.
Why would Volgora ever go for the cards? Because grabbing the cards doesn't give you a reading.
It doesn't matter. They have no idea. They just assume, like, I want the cards, it's my turn. It's very childish.
But it also doesn't make any sense at all of going, it's my turn for like, okay, so like, here's a person performing something. It's my turn to have them perform for me. I'll take their objects away from them.
Well, you're trying to pull it up. So that's the thing where I say, like, it would be cute if, like, Volta's hand would show up, because suddenly my assumption was actually that Volta, for reasons, or we set up near Volta.
We had to get
so
up and move
Volgora is physically
Volta.
doing the child behavior, grab the thing, take it away from you.
Except for I was going to say, and that would work better if the cards were anywhere near Volta, but based on the description of the scene and the fact that no one moved around, we are reading at one far end, the head of the table, and they are sitting at the other far end, the foot of the table.
Yeah.
And there's so then,
like I said,
it doesn't work. Okay, anyway, immediately, both of you behave yourselves. I am ashamed of you. How can you act so foolishly when you are such failures yourselves? Foolish fools.
Fooly fools?
You fools. Volgora, you are a warmonger. Wait, since what?
Since when?
What? And Volta, you are in charge of the city's food, and yet parts of the city are starving.
I would imagine a fair chunk of the city is actually starving.
But curator is food management. Did we look that one up?
Oh, I don't remember. We could Google it real fast while we're going along.
Okay. Parts of the city are starving.
Starving.
Starving. Both of you have disappointed me. And you have the gall to insult Corazon in my presence.
So a procurator is simply one who is authorized to act on behalf of another, an agent, or an employee of the Roman Emperor, in civil affairs, especially in finances and taxes, in management of imperial estates and properties, and in governing minor provinces, or the manager of another affairs, one who acts for or instead of another, and under his authority, especially one who undertakes the care in any legal proceedings for another and stands in his place, a proctor, an agent in Scotland, one who represents a party in the inferior courts.
And it is Procurator Volta, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Procurator.
So, in charge of the food?
That doesn't... It's fine. They just picked words that they thought were cool. I think we've kind of established that at this point of going like, yeah, you know, things.
None of them actually do these jobs.
They really don't.
All right, and all of them are Roman-inspired, which is interesting.
I mean, based on what we've been told, that makes total sense, but also they didn't follow through on a lot of the things because, well, you know, we just use some of the terms and then we have this sort of as an inspiration base, which is fine, but also it makes it very awkward in regards to, like, So, the fact of when this game actually gets more and more into details about how it fucking works, like governing-wise, governing bodies, the judiciary branches, etc., this game goes off the rails because it makes no sense.
It gets really confusing, and it uses real words in ways that they don't apply.
Which is why I was really weirded out when we first played this, because I'm like, when did a count and a countess, one, live in a castle and basically rule over an area this large / this important?
Yeah.
If this is supposed to be like a city-state, that's insanity, in my opinion.
I would say, yeah, your countess and your countess ruling a city-state is a little bit wild, and also going, if that's your royalty
That also
structure,
means, though, that there are way higher people than them who could be there. Like, what?
And also going, if that's the case, again, when your city had no leadership at all of any kind for 3 years, why was there not a regent? Why was not someone else appointed? Why wouldn't you, the more in charge person than literally a count and a countess in the next rank up, which even like dukes are above that, aren't they? Or
I think so, yeah.
I would just say, and then you have like, you know, prince, princess, emperor, empress, king, queen, whatever.
Yeah, there's quite a, then there's like the marquis and...
Oh, marquise, yeah.
Yeah.
I was to say, there are other things above that rank if you're using those ranks with you're using the names for.
Yeah.
And going, why would anyone let a city-state languish with no leadership for 3 years without
And then the
investigating?
siblings being, oh, surprise! You know, I'm like, what?
And again, how would you keep it a secret so no one knows, either who lives there or otherwise, that both of your leaders are missing? One of them dead, which everyone knows, and the other one just gone. But no, she's there.
But she's in a coma. Like,
except for,
what?
if you tell your entire city-state, oh yes, countess is in a coma, and it just stays that way for 3 years, you still don't think you're going to get someone coming in going, you need leadership.
like, what the fuck?
The other connected government bodies.
And also at the same time, too, if this is a trading port, okay, so this means this place is really fucking important. If you suddenly lose a ton of resources from one of your biggest trading ports, that's your fucking city-state. I'm sorry, I would imagine your emperor or your empress, I think it's your empress in this case, is going to show up and go, excuse me?
Or at least send envoys.
Yes.
Send people to deal with it.
You can't stop that. Like, if they're suffering this, like, I think this is bullshit. but
It
it's
doesn't
fine.
make any sense to me. I'm like, what kind of huge-ass magic would you have to convince the entire rest of the connected government body that nothing's going on in Vesuvia for 3 years?
For a really, again, a giant hotbed of basically a bunch of shit.
Of like import, export,
And also information and holy
port
shit.
cities are extremely important.
Like,
Both of you have disappointed me. And you have the gall to insult Corazon in my presence. Corazon has done more for me than either of you ever have. Except you don't know that, but that's okay.
Nadia, what happened to manipulating them?
And what happened to
This
being
is suddenly
indirect?
like, fuck you, be defensive against
Look
me,
at
fuck
us.
you, die in
We'll
a
be really,
pit.
really indirect. And I'm going again. She's setting up we must go in there with a plan. We must do and execute our plan. And then she's basically falling apart immediately. I immediately go into apologies, and then into defensiveness, and then into explanations, and now into I'm attacking you. And again, me being in leadership and management, if you have to yell, you're not in charge.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, are they trying to show basically how badly, disorganized or how far out of her depth Nadia is? Like
How bad she is at this?
and just basically how completely overwhelmed she is, and going, she can't even execute her own plans when trying to approach this. And also, is she having one of those, I'm just going to say Vulcan experiences of going, you're supposed to control your emotions, I'll control my emotions. But she's been trying so hard, and with with no support or direction at all, and no outlet, that she's just breaking everywhere. I will be completely an island, and she's just exploding constantly because she has no outlet.
Or is it also the fact that she was never necessarily any good at this, or what she learned, if she was with Lucio, this is the kind of person she is. Like,
And this is just
genuinely,
how she
she could
leads.
just be a goddamn mess.
Or, yeah, and this is just how she leads.
And everybody goes, she's this incredibly coordinated, capable person. And I'm like, I don't know, she sounds like a wreck, honestly.
She sounds like she's extremely reactive instead of proactive.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, Corazon has done more for me than either of you ever have. Get out of my sight, because I don't want to do the investigation.
Get the story?
The entire purpose of this lunch you've just dismissed, Nadia, because your temper. You disgust me.
They slink away. properly chastened. No.
Are they properly
No.
chastened?
No.
Or chastised? We've done nothing. Nadia.
I'm also like, I don't see Volgora going, yes, I will bow to any. I'm like, based on everything else that I've seen in the other routes, that's insanity.
That sounds
Volta,
weird.
yes, Volta is small, tiny little thing that goes, any presence, and also then, will constantly eat because of depression. But like, Volgora would give no fucks at all. Like, this is goofy.
It sounds weird because Volgora has directly pushed back against Nadia before. And in this one case, going, Also, did we rescue our cards? Are they covered in food? Did any of them get bent, folded, mashed?
Nadia slumps back down to the table. She writes a wine glass and then motions for a servant to refill it. She takes a long sip and then lets out a low sigh, looking out the window.
But I need plot completion. What about the custard in her hair?
Take it out!
I need the arc. You must resolve this arc of hair custard. I've had enough of the incompetence in this city.
If I repeat it enough, maybe I'll actually do something about it.
Maybe something will change.
Maybe. I can't help but wonder why she hasn't sent them away yet. I'm still not even really sure what the court does.
Thank you, because finally you are in the same position as us, the players.
Who's been there since basically we walked in.
Mm-hmm.
But also, again, if your MC literally has no idea how governing or any of the branches or any questions at all to ask, which makes sense, but also seems really weird because your character seems oddly comfortable and Nadia seems weirdly fine with just throwing you into the middle of this.
It seems like while Astra worked really hard to teach the MC about all kinds of things in the world, he never addressed government in any way.
Not at all.
He never addressed your actual ruling system, which is weird because he did tell you, about, the death of your, count.
Right. He also told you who Nadia was.
And you knew who Nadia was, even though you'd have never seen her in your life.
Which I think is fucking hilarious, actually. We haven't seen her for goddamn years.
Well, and the thing is we haven't seen her the entire time we've been alive.
Yeah. And it's like, and I know exactly who she is. What? I'm sorry, I hate, the thing that I said before, going, most people fucking wouldn't even recognize their goddamn, like
I said,
governors, mayors, presidents.
There are pictures
sometimes.
of her everywhere. What we paid for when rebuilding the city from the plague was pictures of Nadia everywhere, because they needed to know what their sleeping countess looks like. Honestly, I would be amazed if there were any pictures of her, because honestly, there should be Lucio everywhere, because that's his priority.
Yes. Bless. Tuna.
Thank you, pardon me.
I bless.
Alright, what the court does.
What the court does.
You and me both, sweetie.
Why are they still in charge?
Unfortunately, Vesuvia follows a rather archaic system of nobility.
What?
A system that you are not in charge of, despite your position, I am hearing. Lucio titled them when he became count. Removing a title after it has been conferred, well, it's quite a bit more complicated than it seems. These aren't job positions. These are titles?
I mean, I hate to say it, but that's what I had assumed. But I'm also like, you can just, go... There are usually multiple people in that rank, if that makes sense.
Or that role.
Who have that inheritance kind of thing. So what happened is I give you a title, but as far as I also understood, if you were considered to be a lower class individual, you could totally have your fucking title stripped from you.
But apparently
that happens
complicated. Constantly.
Actually, constantly.
Well, and
people would be like, I can tell you what my lineage would have been, but we don't have that anymore because we insulted, the king, queen, whatever, and then we lost that.
2 days ago, we were all counts, and, now we are peasants. Our titles have been stripped.
Yeah, that's how that works. You can actually get rid of titles. It does
But apparently,
happen. You can also get rid of your royalty. It's
But
fine.
apparently it's very complicated, according to Nadia.
Super complicated.
Sometimes I wonder if I should just do everything myself. Consequences be down. Nadia, you have no skills of delegation, but as far as I can tell, it's because no one works for you.
Pretty much.
So you're unable to delegate to anyone because you literally have no staff except for over there cooks and over there maids, which have no position or competence outside of their role at all, and Portia.
Consequences.
Be damned.
Be damned.
You can't do it all alone.
That's why I'm here, dumbass. You can't do it all alone.
If you could do it all alone, you would have never hired me. Like, this is an obvious answer.
You can't do it all alone. You can't do it all alone. We've already fucking been involved in this. We've literally also proven that you are actually, at this point, no, I think Corazon even pushing more into going, you actually cannot do this alone. I thought that you would be more capable, more whatever, but even now I'm having this reality of going, you actually need other people in a way that I don't even know how to explain. Like, before it was kind of like, okay, you have to kind of, like, work with these people because they'll be in your way, but eventually you're gonna do it all. And now it's like, fuck, Nadia, you can't do this.
You are not equipped to do what I perceive this job to be.
You are way, like, even I couldn't. You know what? Fine. You'd run yourself ragged.
Oh, that's not what I'm thinking.
No,
You would not succeed. It's not you'd run yourself ragged. You've already kind of run yourself ragged. You seem to be out of emotional and intellectual energy a lot. In the same way that this entire scene demonstrated that you didn't seem to have a lot of composure at all, which would suggest if you normally do have composure, which is what the game has been setting up, that you're very tired and thereby don't have access to it.
I think it's hilarious to actually suggest that she's never had it to begin with, because why else would the fuck would she get along with Lucio? But I'm going, oh, well, you know, people, like, this concept of going, well, she's like, well, my husband was terrible. It's like, doesn't mean that you didn't get along with him. Doesn't mean that you didn't, in some ways, either reflect or basically perform some of his behaviors because they were so loud and in your face. I've seen people where they're like, this thing, but they start basically echoing the loudest person in the room.
Well, I've also seen a lot of, when you have an unhappy partnership, and especially if one considers the other to be, you know, abusive and a kind of thing, they often have their own abusive behaviors that they are using in sort of reaction to those things. But also, as we've established early on, Nadia is extremely privileged and distant from other people. She has a very hard time connecting to other people's emotional experiences. So even though she cares deeply conceptually about bigger problems, and she really does, she doesn't functionally care about them because each of those bigger problems are represented by individual people who are hurting.
You know what? In the end, everyone gets to be a princess. So we will deal with that in the next one. Hey, so thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. If you like what we do, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and also share our videos if you're having a good time with us. Please also feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi and our Patreon and our Twitch. We do live streaming for games. Yes. And we would love to see you there. But other than that, I have been Scandal.
And I have been Lies.
And it was great playing with you. Bye!